She had a voice so powerful scientists studied it.
Hurry, hurry, step right on in.
She was gone at 31.
To make you cry.
A government worker spent $900 in a studio
So bad. See the
and accidentally created a soul anthem the entire world would quote for decades.
for a million years.
A husband filled in for his wife during a recording session
Can't afford.
and unknowingly invented disco.
So I'd like to
These are the artists who touched musical immortality once, then disappeared into history. Soul music is built on legends.
And sisters, you can still stay.
But buried between the icons are artists who caught lightning exactly once. One perfect song, one moment that echoed through block parties, vinyl crates, and generations of hip-hop sampling. On Beyond the Beat, we dig deeper than the charts into the stories behind the music that shaped culture.
Don't hesitate. Let my love touch your water.
Tonight, we're uncovering 12 R&B soul one-hit wonders whose
Down, baby.
single moment of greatness still echoes through hip-hop and modern music today.
A car at all.
And the final story might be the most heartbreaking moment in soul history. Number 12, Sideshow, Blue Magic. Slow dancing has a soundtrack.
was the only love she ever had.
And in 1974, Blue Magic created one of the smoothest heartbreak
Can't afford to pass it by.
records ever pressed to vinyl. Sideshow doesn't rush you.
The saddest little show in all the
It glides. The lush Philadelphia soul arrangement. The aching vocals, the quiet sadness in every note.
show begins.
The song feels like the final dance of a relationship that's already ending.
He hurts so bad, so bad.
The story inside the lyrics is painfully human. Two lovers standing together,
Guaranteed to make you cry, but the silence
pretending everything is fine, while both know the curtain is about to fall.
it's more
The record climbed to number 1 on the R&B charts and crossed into pop radio.
to pass it by. Guaranteed to make
Becoming a slow dance classic in high school gyms and basement parties across America.
step right up. Hurry, hurry. Before
But here's the strange twist. Despite the elegance of Sideshow,
you see the girl who's collected broken hearts.
Blue Magic never reached that same commercial peak again. Other releases came and went, yet none captured the fragile magic of that single moment.
So let
Still, decades later, DJs still drop it when the lights dim and couples step onto the
what life has done to those like you and me.
because sometimes one song is enough to create a lifetime memory.
Can't afford to pass it by. Guaranteed.
And speaking of accidental musical revolutions, the next artist didn't just score a hit.
Friends.
He may have helped invent disco itself. Number 11, Rock Your Baby, George McCrae. History sometimes begins by accident. In 1974, a producer had written a song meant for singer Gwen McCrae. She was late to the studio. So her husband, George McCrae, stepped up to record a quick demo. That demo became Rock Your Baby. And suddenly, the sound of the future was born. Using an early Roland TR 77 drum machine. The track introduced a mechanical rhythm that felt unlike anything soul music had heard before. Over that futuristic groove floated George's silky falsetto. Soft, hypnotic, almost weightless. The result exploded worldwide. Rock Your Baby sold over 11 million copies. Reached #1 in dozens of countries and dominated the summer of 1974. Many historians now call it one of the first true disco records ever recorded. But the strange part of the story, George McCrae never reached those heights again. Disco evolved quickly. New artists flooded the scene. And the man who helped ignite the genre slowly faded from the spotlight. One recording session, one accidental revolution, then silence. But the next story proves lightning can strike anywhere. Even in the hands of a government employee with $900.
TV antennas in the back.
Number 10, Be Thankful for What You Got, William DeVaughn.
Though you may not drive a great
Some songs are born from struggle. Others are born from simplicity.
man talk, just be thankful.
In 1974, William DeVaughn wasn't chasing fame. He was working a normal government job in Washington, D.C.,
Brothers and sisters, you can still
writing songs on the side and dreaming quietly.
though you may not drive,
With $900 of his own savings,
you may not have.
he booked studio time at Sigma Sound Studios in Philadelphia.
Can still stand tall. Just
What happened next created a cultural mantra. Be thankful for what you got.
a car at all.
The groove was laid back, almost hypnotic.
Diamond in the back, sunroof top, digging the scene with a gangster lean.
Smooth guitars, airy rhythm.
You may not have.
And DeVaughn's calm voice delivering a message that felt deeper than any flashy hook.
Be thankful.
Diamond in the back, sunroof top, digging the scene with a gangster lean.
Diamond in.
That single lyric would echo through generations of hip-hop.
Remember, brothers and sisters.
Rappers quoted it. Producers sampled it.
In the back, sunroof top, digging the scene with a gangster lean. Woo.
And listeners everywhere felt its message. The track climbed to #1 on the R&B chart
Sunroof top,
and #4
digging
on
the
the
scene
Billboard
with a
Hot
gangster
100,
lean. Woo.
selling millions. But after that, William DeVaughn quietly
TV antennas in the back.
stepped away from the spotlight. One masterpiece, then back to everyday life. Yet the next artist proved that even a legendary singer can experience a one-hit moment.
The white wall.
Especially when you leave one of the greatest groups in music history. Number 9, Boogie Down, Eddie Kendricks. Before this song, Eddie Kendricks was already a legend. As a member of the Temptations, his voice helped define Motown's golden era. But when Kendricks went solo in the early 1970s, he had something to prove. And in 1974, he proved it with Boogie Down. The record exploded with early disco energy, pulsing rhythm sections, bright orchestration, and Kendrick's unmistakable high tenor floating effortlessly above the groove. The track climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the R&B charts for 3 weeks. Ironically, it became the biggest solo hit of his entire career. Yet despite years of success with the Temptations, Kendricks never again reached that same pop dominance as a solo artist. Still, Boogie Down captured something magical, a moment when soul, disco, and dance culture collided on one record. But the next group didn't just capture disco's energy. They helped launch the genre into the mainstream. Number 8, Rock the Boat, the Hues Corporation. Sometimes the biggest hits almost never happen. When Rock the Boat
So I'd like to know where you got the notion.
first released in 1974, it flopped. The single barely touched the charts and disappeared. But then something unexpected happened in New York. Disco DJs started spinning it in underground clubs, night after night.
It's always been a quiet place to harbor you and me.
The dance floors exploded. Crowds moved in unison, swaying like waves to the groove.
But tonight we sail through it.
The demand became impossible to ignore.
Don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat. Don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat.
The label re-released the record, and suddenly the same song that once failed rocketed to number 1 on both the Hot 100 and the R&B chart. Selling over 2 million copies. Many historians now call it one of the
Ever since our voyage of love began,
first disco songs ever to top the charts.
our love is like a ship on the ocean.
The Hues Corporation had helped bring disco into the mainstream.
Rock on with your Betsy. Rock the boat. Rock on.
But lightning rarely strikes twice. Their follow-up singles never reached the same height.
Sailing with a cargo full of love and devotion.
Yet one thing remained. Every wedding reception, every retro dance floor, someone eventually yells, "Rock the boat." But the next record didn't celebrate joy.
Your touch has thrilled me like the rush of the wind. And your
It delivered one of the most emotionally raw confrontations ever recorded in Number 7, Woman to Woman, Shirley Brown. Some songs feel like a confession. Others feel like a confrontation. Shirley Brown's Woman to Woman feels like both.
I hope you understand.
The record begins with a spoken phone call.
Enough to understand.
A woman calmly addressing the person having an affair with her man.
Woman to woman.
But beneath that calm voice is volcanic emotion.
Can't you see where I'm coming from?
What many people don't realize is that the spoken intro wasn't scripted.
I ain't gonna let you break up my.
Shirley Brown improvised it in the studio. One take, pure emotion.
If you've ever been in love.
Released in 1974, the record became Stax Records' final major hit.
Woman to woman, ain't that the same?
During the label's collapse. It climbed to number 1 on the R&B chart and sold over 1 million copies. But the raw honesty of the track also made it difficult to replicate. The moment was too real, and after Stax folded,
Same thing too.
Shirley Brown's momentum faded with it. Still, Woman to Woman remains a masterclass in storytelling. A soul record that feels less like music
Now you see, I don't want no trouble now.
and more like overhearing someone's life unravel. But the next group
I'm talking to you, woman to woman.
changed music history in a very different way. With 2 takes
That's right, live
and a groove that would reshape dance music forever.
Wanna do it, do it, do it till you're satisfied.
Number 6, Do It Till You're Satisfied, BT Express.
Do it till you're satisfied.
Whatever it is,
In 1974,
whatever it is,
Do it now. Do it till you're satisfied.
a group of Brooklyn musicians walked into the studio with a new toy.
Satisfied.
A drum machine. At the time, it was still a novelty. Something producers were just beginning to experiment with. The group was BT Express.
it is.
Do it. Do it till you're satisfied. People love
And the song they recorded in just 2 takes was Do It Till You're Satisfied.
Everybody knows.
The groove was irresistible. Hand claps snapping through the rhythm.
when you holler.
Wah guitar slicing through the mix. A chant-style hook
Whatever
that
it is,
Do it. Do it till you're satisfied.
audiences couldn't get out of their heads. The record shot to number 1
Gotta do it good. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied.
on the R&B chart and number 2 on the Hot 100. But that wasn't its only innovation.
Oh, just what they like to do. Whatever it is.
Producer Tom Moulton created an extended mix of the song for clubs.
what they like to do, whatever it is, do it. Long
Something almost unheard of at the time. That remix would help shape the
Till you're satisfied.
future of dance music and DJ culture, influencing everything from disco
Satisfied.
whatever
to hip-hop's remix tradition. Yet despite pioneering the sound,
Do it slow. Satisfied.
BT Express never achieved the same cultural moment again.
whatever it is,
Do it. Do it till you're satisfied. Go.
Still, their groove left a permanent mark. And the next entry shows how
You got it. Long as it pleases you. Make it last.
gospel crossed into mainstream radio. for just one
To you to try it again. Go on and do it.
Number 5, Mighty Clouds of Joy. In the early 1970s, gospel music stayed in church. R&B stayed on secular radio. Those worlds rarely crossed. But the Mighty Clouds of Joy broke that rule. Their 1974 track,
Mighty Clouds of Joy, take a load off your mind.
blended gospel passion with soul rhythms and funk instrumentation. It sounded like Sunday morning, but with a groove strong enough for mainstream radio. The gamble worked. The song earned a Grammy Award and began receiving airplay on both gospel and R&B stations, something almost unheard of at the time. The sound felt uplifting and celebratory. Like sunlight pouring through stained glass windows. Yet success came with a strange consequence. The mainstream embraced the moment. But only briefly. After the hit faded, the group returned primarily to the gospel world, where they remained deeply respected but no longer part of pop radio. Still, the record proved something powerful. Spiritual music could cross cultural boundaries. But the next entry shows how even legends can have hidden one-hit wonders inside their own catalog. And this time, the voice belongs to one of soul's greatest icons. Number 4, You and Me, the Stylistics. By 1974, the Stylistics were already royalty in Philadelphia soul. Their lush orchestration, soaring falsetto vocals, and elegant arrangements have produced multiple hits. But hidden inside their catalog is a quieter masterpiece, You and Me. Produced by the legendary Tom Bell, the song is pure sonic elegance. Strings sweep like film music, harmonies stack perfectly. And Russell Tompkins Jr. as a falsetto glides above. Everything with almost supernatural grace. It's the kind of record that feels like a slow dance at 3 a.m. when the world has gone quiet. Yet despite its beauty, the track never reached the massive success of their bigger hits like You Make Me Feel Brand New. In a strange twist, it became something like a one-hit wonder within their own discography. A perfect song overshadowed by even bigger classics. Sometimes greatness doesn't disappear. It just gets buried. But the next entry raises a fascinating question. How does a superstar become a one-hit wonder inside their own legacy? Number 3, Shalala, Make Me Happy, Al Green. When you hear the name Al Green, you think of immortal classics. Let's Stay Together. Tired of Being Alone, I'm Still in Love with You. But tucked inside his catalog is a joyful gem that rarely gets the same recognition. Shalala, Make Me Happy, released in 1974. The track was lighter than Green's usual gospel-soaked heartbreak ballads. Instead, it floated with playful energy and effortless charm. The organ lines warmed the arrangement, while Green's voice danced across the melody with pure happiness. The record climbed to number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 number 2. On the R&B chart. For most artists, that would be a career-defining hit. But for Al Green, it was overshadowed by his own masterpieces. A hit buried inside a legendary catalog. And yet the next entry reminds us that before certain artists became global icons, they had one record that changed everything. A record born in one day, one studio session, one unstoppable groove. Number 2, Hollywood Swinging, Kool and the Gang. Before they became wedding reception royalty. Before celebration and pop superstardom. Kool and the Gang were something very different. Raw, funky, dangerous. And Hollywood Swinging captured that era perfectly. Recorded in a single studio session in 1973.
Well, I thought
Alongside Jungle Boogie and Funky Stuff. The track exploded with swagger. Heavy horns punched through the mix. Bass lines rattled speakers. The groove felt like hot asphalt under summer feet. The record reached number 1 on the R&B chart and number 6 on the Hot 100.
But you never got touch is gonna make it to the night.
Marking the group's first massive breakthrough. Block parties from New York to Los Angeles blasted it through giant speakers. But here's the twist. As the years passed, Kool and the Gang reinvented themselves.
well, if anybody wants me, I'll...
With a smoother pop sound. That shift made them even more famous. But it also buried their early funk era in history. Hollywood Swinging remains a snapshot of the band at their most raw, their most fearless, their most funky. But nothing in this countdown prepares you for the final story. A voice unlike anything the world had ever heard. A song that reached #1, and a life that ended far too soon. #1 climax section, Loving You, Minnie Riperton.
Beautiful, and every day of my life.
Some voices feel human, others feel supernatural.
You bring, stay with me while we.
Minnie Riperton's voice felt like something beyond explanation.
My life is filled with love and you.
With a 5-octave range, she could reach notes
La 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 la.
so high they sounded like birds in flight.
No one else can.
And in 1974, she used that voice to create one of the most
Is filled with love and you.
delicate love songs ever recorded.
You is my
Loving You. The song was written with her husband, Richard Rudolph, as a gentle melody
la 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 la. Do 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 do.
meant to calm their baby daughter. Near the end of the track,
Grow old and we will live each day in spring.
you can hear Minnie softly singing her daughter's name. Maya, Maya.
We will live each day in springtime. 'Cause love.
Maya, Maya, Maya. That child would later grow up to become actress Maya Rudolph.
La 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 la.
Acoustic guitar, soft keyboards, and Minnie's voice floating above everything.
Loving you, I see your soul.
No heavy percussion, no dramatic production, just purity. Loving You reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1975 and sold over 1 million copies. But less than a year later, Minnie received devastating news. She had breast cancer.
Shining through, and every time that we, ooh,
Doctors initially gave her just 6 months to live. Instead, she fought for 3 more years.
because you're beautiful, and every day of
Continuing to record music and even becoming one of the first celebrities
no,
to publicly advocate for breast cancer awareness. On July 12th,
loving you is easy.
1979, Minnie Riperton passed away. She was only 31 years old, but that one perfect song
While we
echoes
grow
across
old and
generations.
we
A voice that
will
refused
live
to
each
listen.
day.
Don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat. Don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat. Don't rock.
Soul music is full of legends. But sometimes the most powerful stories belong to the artists who only touched
Need to have the strength that flows from you.
the spotlight once and still left a permanent mark on music history. From accidental disco pioneers to hidden masterpieces, to voices lost too soon, these songs remind us that greatness doesn't always come in long careers. Sometimes it arrives in one perfect moment. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these songs still gives you chills? Drop it in the comments. And if you love uncovering the forgotten stories behind music history, subscribe to Beyond the Beat, because the next record we spin might reveal another legend hiding in plain sight.